It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Dusty and Tommy with you, and nothing says Good Friday like a Popeye's chicken sandwich, right? If you're not having Popeye's sandwiches and nugs for Easter dinner, Tommy, what are you even doing here?
Yeah, I'm having that clearly for Easter dinner.
Yeah, of course you are.
That's how I roll. Whatever. No
yeah. What are you going to do?
Hey, delicious.
Yeah, now available in St. Albert. For some reason, you haven't seen the one in Windermere. Pick it up in Windermere. Well over 12 locations now in the area, and all of them locally owned and operated by Furby and his partner. Absolutely great guys. Uchaz is into the comment section and says, Dustin Nielsen podcast extravaganza day. Yeah, I've been streaming now for like almost an hour straight, but I love it. I mean, I wanted to get some things out of the way. I got some stuff going on later today. So I'm still going to talk about this game, though, and we'll get to your Ken Morrison Remax question of the day. Tommy, I have to tell you, for a market that was in full-blown panic mode on Wednesday morning after the loss to the Minnesota Wild, if I had a morning show today, it would have been literally a 180 swing. Like, people have to be ecstatic with what they saw from the Oilers last night, don't they?
Yeah, well, there was a 180 swing on the post-game show. So if that's a litmus test for what would happen in the morning, then yeah, absolutely. People were very, very pleased, rightly so. And it's good to see. And the other thing, too, is what's crazy about the NHL, and I said this on the show, I said it on the Oil Stream, I think, on Wednesday, too, is like there's sometimes teams that you just can't mentally get over the hump against, and they own you. And the Wild own the Oilers. And then a couple nights later, Edmonton goes into Nashville, and they had won 5 in a row against the Preds. I know they didn't play them last season. They won the 2 games earlier this year, obviously. And they just go in there and dominate the game. And it's funny how that is. And the Predators are a team that's not that different from the Minnesota Wild. You know, Minnie has 2 really good goalies. Nashville has 1.5. Like it's David Riddick who's the backup now.
Yeah.
So, and UC Saros has been one of the best goalies in the league this season. So it's just incredible how that works, but reassuring and good to see how they bounced back and just completely took over that game early and didn't relent. And honestly, that was one where you could breathe easy today.
Well, yeah, it's one thing to get a win. And at this point, you know, with the Kings in Vegas lurking, it's important to get the 2 points no matter how you have to get it. But with the way they got that done last night, like a nice, tidy 4-0. Draisaitl continues his dominance of the Nashville Predators. Mike Smith gets the shutout, which builds on the good numbers that he's been bringing to the table lately. Tommy, is that the biggest thing coming out of this game, the fact that Mike Smith was able to shut the door, or what else would jump off the page for you in the overall storyline moving forward?
Well, you like what Mike Smith did, 100%. Good to see him get a shutout. Big thanks to Jeremy Coupel on that one, who probably owes Smitty big time, or Smitty owes him big time, I would say. And Jeremy's a great dude and obviously has an eagle eye. Yeah, that's one of the things that you go, that's a check mark. But overall, I think the demeanor of the team, the way they played, they learned from their mistakes. You know what? Even though some of the Preds forwards, that Jeannot line and Sissons there, and they're heavy, and they played the same style as a lot of the guys on the Wild did, and the Oilers didn't buckle, especially the Bouchard-Keith pairing.
And we'll talk about the defense in just a little bit with the Ken Morrison Remax excellent question of the day. The power play last night. I mean, when you got McDavid and Draisaitl, but I thought last night was a perfect example of what Nugent Hopkins can bring to the table on that power play with that quick little touch pass over to Leon Draisaitl. Like, when Nuge isn't in the lineup, let's say McDavid puts that up top to somebody else there. I don't know how many other guys on the team are quickly moving that thing over to Draisaitl right away like this. Like, I thought that was the perfect example. And usually Nuge will do a lot of his damage over on that left side with the little behind the back pass back up to the point and things along those lines. But just deft touch by Nuge to move it so quickly. If you give Draisaitl any sort of advantage, I don't care if the goalie's UC Saros and he's got Dave Riddick standing in the crease behind him. I mean, Leon Draisaitl is probably firing that thing home when he gets it in that spot with that much time. There was no chance, and it was all because of the the heads-up play by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and he makes so many of those little plays on the power play, and they don't always lead to Leon Draisaitl on a goal, but if you watch Nuge play, the little plays that he makes on the power play, Tommy, make a world of difference for that group.
He's a very, very good NHL player, and I think he's appreciated here. There's some that really dumped on him last season where he had a bad year. Should he have more than 10 goals, Dusty? Yes. Absolutely, but he doesn't. He's still putting up points, creating those opportunities like you described, those nice little touches, the subtle plays. His defensive game a little bit better. Is his face-off game that good? No, not really. But this is an excellent player, and he took a haircut. Man. Yeah, he took a haircut to stay here long-term, and I think he's going to be a good player for a huge chunk of that contract. I don't know how good he'll be in the final 2 seasons, but man, he shows his worth. And I think to the haters that really don't like him, I
don't know how you can't not like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, man.
We've got a few.
I just don't get it.
Game. Yeah, we've got a few on the post-game show that just hate his guts, and it's like, why?
He's not overpaid.
Center, he plays wing. He makes just under $6 million. What's the problem here?
We don't describe him as great. He's a really good National Hockey League player that can play 2 different positions for you, can play both special teams for you. I don't understand. If he was making $7.5 million, sure, that's going to happen with the contract. You're going to bitch about a guy, but I don't understand how anybody can hate Nuge. I just don't get it.
Want me to make the counter argument that I guarantee someone's probably
okay? Give it to me.
Well, they could have had Huberdeau. Well, they could have had Landeskog.
Oh, my God. We're going back to the draft still? It's the draft?
Well, look at Huberdeau. He's a 100-point player.
Oh, my goodness, man. If that's where you have to reach, then you just don't have a case for an argument anyway. I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has had a very good career for the Edmonton Oilers. And once again, we said very good. We didn't say great. Would you like to have him more than 10 goals in 56 games? Hey, at some point, maybe somebody's going to be trying to push a narrative on Woodcroft, and Woodcroft's going to shoot him down on Nuge as well, because Nuge does a lot of different things better as well. He's got 46 points, 36 assists so far. Would you like a little bit more production? That's fine, sure. But who else in this lineup are you going to be able to move down to your third-line center and play him there and not worry about it and actually establish a little something down there? You're not doing that with Draisaitl and McDavid. Those guys are locked where they are, and you don't have another guy in the entire lineup that you can slide in there, and also the versatility to play him as a top 6 winger and play him in a top power play and be a main penalty killer. That alone is worth the money. Nuge, with what he's done this year, with the 46 points he's got, that alone is worth what they're paying him, man. I don't get it.
Hey, him and Hyman on the PK have been money the last couple of weeks, and the PK is actually starting to look good. It might have cracked the top 20 after its performance yesterday. I know it came into the night 20th, which is good because I think it got as low as 26th at one point. So he's a big part of that. Big part of that.
This question was asked of my show, I think, on Wednesday morning after the loss to Minnesota. Might have actually come in on Twitter. Might have actually been a DM. Anyway, it was, can the Oilers build a heavy-ish line in their bottom 6? And for me, if your bottom 6 centers are Nuge and McLeod, then you probably can't build a heavy line in your bottom 6, Tommy. But can you see, with Minnesota, they're not a bunch of big guys. They got some big guys, but they play a pretty heavy game. What do you think is the heaviest bottom 6 line that the Oilers could possibly put together?
It would have to be Cassian, and he should be on the 4th line. Probably Devin Shore down the middle, and then
Fogle.
You'd have to.
But Fogel's in your top. He's on your third line, right?
He's your third line. So I would say even Josh Archibald, and
play
you
the
would
other
say,
way.
hey, Josh Archibald, you need to be a pit bull because otherwise you're not playing. I don't know what they're doing with him. I think he's just around, taking up space, practicing. So there's a reluctance there to play him. It seems like, but. That would be the heaviest, quote-unquote, 4th line, because it's certainly not Kyle Turris coming off IR. Derek Brassard isn't heavy, although he may be an option ahead of Archibald. But if you're I just want a heavy 4th line, it's probably Shore with Cassian and then, Brassard or Archibald on the other side.
I think that the time that they've actually been, maybe if you want to describe it as the heaviest, was when they had Malone in. Right, Malone on Malone, Cassian, Fogel or something. Like there might be a line somewhere there, but look, I don't think they're going to be able to build anything well, I know they're not. They're not going to be able to build anything in the bottom six that would compete with, the third line with the Minnesota Wild or something long. That's just not how this team's constructed, man. And you can win without it. It'd be nice if you had it. I just don't think they have the luxury of having that as well. They got a ton of skill up front. That's how it works. All right, let's dive into your Ken Morrison Remax question of the day, brought to you by our friend Ken Morrison. Visit his website, whether you're buying or selling, or you just have this weird real estate fetish where you're just looking all the time at houses for sale and looking into other people's homes. Visit his website at kenrmorrison.com. He's a Remax Realtor Hall of Famer, and you can call him at 780-993-4815.
Hey, how about those interest rates, man?
Yeah, those interest rates are something. What's the question, Tommy?
All right, the Ken Morrison Remax Excellence question of the day is this. Dusty, you see on our board there, 11-7 again. The Oilers snuck that in there last night. We saw Chris Russell back in action. Nice hit on Granlund early on.
Yes.
I like that, setting the tone. Very nice. But the question is this. With Jay Woodcroft and Dave Madsen, Glenn Gulletson going back to that last night, do you think the Oilers will utilize 11-7 in the postseason?
I think they could. I think they should. I don't know if they will. Like, I have not had any criticisms of them in their 11-7 setup. And now with the 11-7, as opposed to before, because remember when they first started running 11-7, it was with the Brobergs and the Nima Linens. Now if you're running 11-7, you got 6 vets in there and Evan Bouchard. So, I mean, I really liked it. I turned on the game a little bit late last night, and I saw that Russell was in. And I was like, oh, well, who's out? And then I looked, and he's out. I was like, oh, Kulak must be out. And then I saw Kulak. I'm like, damn it, they went 11-7. I like it. Yeah. Because I like the way that Manson has been able to manage that before, even with the younger guys. And I don't think you're missing out on whoever fill in the blank your 12th forward is here, especially in the playoffs. If you can manage the ice time for Draisaitl and McDavid down the stretch, and you can give them an extra minute here or a minute there, and at the same time keeping your blue line fresh, which could possibly be. I mean, if Mike Smith continues to play the way that he's played, maybe your blue line's your biggest weakness heading into the postseason. If you got another guy that you can filter in there on the regular, or if you've got, 7 dressed and Bouchard's just having a shit night, or somebody's having a horrible night, and you can just say, you know what, just sit her down tonight. We still got 6 guys. Continue on with that. I like the 11-7 setup. I know it's you're not conventional for a lot of teams, but I think with the way this roster is constructed, 11-7 isn't that bad. So will they start the playoffs 11-7? Probably not, but would they hesitate to go to it? I don't think they would. Yeah.
And I like that idea too. Like you have 7 good defensemen, 6 veterans, and Bouchard, obviously. And on top of that, like, what if Duncan Keith is having a bad night, but you have Chris Russell there? Or what if Brett Kulak's having a tough night? You got Chris Russell. What if Evan Bouchard, like you said, is having enough? Well, you could take away some minutes and give them to a guy that's been there and done that in Chris Russell. So I think that option is a tantalizing one. And then on top of that, you want to talk about building a heavy fourth line. What if you built a heavy pair as your fourth line and then slide in a Leon Draisaitl between a Cassian and a Brad Malone or something like that?
Yeah.
Then you have a heavy fourth line, right?
Could be an option, because if you can't build 3, if you can't get 3 guys in there, I mean, maybe you can get 2 and rotate those centers through. I mean, that's something that they could certainly look at as well. I think it's an interesting conversation for sure. And that's your Ken Morrison Remax question of the day. I'd like to see the numbers. I mean, I don't have a lot of the knowledge of going to the different sites and bringing out the numbers, but I'd like to see their numbers when they are 11-7 as opposed to when they're not. They've obviously been good in both situations since Woodcroft took over. But yeah, I'd like to see the analytical breakdown of that. So if anybody has that, fire it over.
Don't forget, I'm sure it's out there. Don't forget, Willie Lagesson was part of the 11-7 too.
Yeah, see, so it is better now. So that's something you don't have to worry about. All right, Tommy, big game on Saturday. Obviously, I mean, if they beat the Golden Knights in regulation Saturday, that's pretty much it. I mean, that'll knock 4 points off the old Matthew Awanek magic number thing. So that would be a big one. Vegas slowly getting healthier, playing pretty well over the last few weeks. What do you expect to happen with this matinee game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good game. both teams riding high and feeling good about themselves. Maybe a playoff preview. So I think it's going to be another tight game. I don't think the Oilers are going to get spanked like Calgary did last night. I don't know what's going on with the Flames. And I don't know about Vegas. Like, I like that team. I like the lineup, but something's been off all year. I know they've had a ton of injuries. They've gotten healthier. Robin Leonard, I don't think is healthy still, that rotator cuff and that lower body injury. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. Again, like we saw the Oilers and Kings size each other up last week. This might be the Oilers and Golden Knights sizing each other up. And you know what? The Oilers, I don't think they care who they face. They just want to beat whoever they face because they have a lot to prove in the postseason. And I want to ask you this really quickly, Dusty. Like, Darryl Sutter says some interesting things in his pregame comments and about other teams. And I don't know if he's trolling the media or if he's just doing whatever he wants to do or if he's just sincere in what he's saying. But he had this he was being cute the other day where he's like, well, the Golden Knights are $20 million over the cap. So I think they're the Stanley Cup favorites, if you ask me. and I'm paraphrasing, but he kind of said it with that tone. Do you buy that? And what do you make of Darryl Sutter saying stuff like that the way he does?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't get a read on this guy. I don't know if he's the smartest dude in the room or he just comes across as somebody's like, well, this is kind of funny. I'll say this. And then that's about it. Like, I don't know. I've never been able to get a read on Sutter. Hey, I find him relatively amusing for sure. Yeah. But I don't know what to take in and out of it. Like, I have no idea.
I'll tell you this. The Sutters are super nice people. I know Dwayne, Rich Sutter comes to games. They're unbelievable people, but they're smart people that have been around hockey for so long. And I think Darryl Sutter would be so difficult to cover and so frustrating because if you're down there every day and you need to get information, you need to build a show and you need sound and stuff like that, like it would be so hard with him. And part of me laughs because I'm still a fan of the game and I feel bad for our colleagues in Calgary. And then part of me just rolls my eyes and is like, oh my God, I do not want to deal with this. Like, I would be so scared to go in there every day and be like, well, this guy's going to embarrass me today, even when I ask him a legit question. And then we're going to get fans of certain teams be like, dummy, stupid media guy. And you're just like, yeah, well, tail between my legs. That's a tough one today. I'll lick my wounds and come back tomorrow and see what happens. So it's just like this weird enigma that baffles me, scares the shit out of me, and amuses me all at the same time. I
dealt with Brian a little bit at the Allen Cup a couple years ago. Yeah. And he was coaching one of the teams. And it's funny because you do the interview and it's a good hockey interview. I mean, you're right. I mean, from a hockey fan, I could have sat there and chatted with Sutter forever. And then like off the mic, just laid back hockey dude, like just dropping F-bombs. I was just like, what is going on here? Like, this is like, it's quite the scene, man. I'd love to have dinner with the Sutter family, man. I think that'd be great.
And like everyone you hear from that worked with them and dealt with them on whatever team, and it doesn't matter which Sutter, they all love them.
Yeah.
Love them. And you're like, why is this guy such an asshole to the media? Why?
Yeah, it's all a part of the plan, man. All a part of the plan. Look, if Vegas beats the Oilers in regulation Saturday, it's very likely it's an Oilers
Golden Knights
Vegas first round matchup. Like, so that's a big one, man. That's going to be a really good game Saturday afternoon. Tommy, what time you get going with your pregame?
12:30. We're on the air. Okay. Myself, Connor Halley, Matty Cassian. We'll bring in a guest from Vegas, and on top of that, we've got Walker Postgame Ranger sliding in for Connor on the show after the game.
That'd be
People
amazing.
are really taking to Postgame Ranger.
Yeah,
it's pretty good, and he's all in on the promo shoot with like the
of course he is
plastic guns and the cowboy hat with the string, and he wants the tin badge and the vest and all that. So he's a strange guy.
Yeah.
Good producer who works hard.
Good guy, though. Good guy, though.
Yeah, very
all right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Oil Stream. A little Good Friday episode for you. Oilers and Golden Knights tomorrow. Tommy, have the pregame on TSN 1260. Shout out to Ken Morrison for sponsoring the question of the day. And, of course, our presenting sponsor, Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Bring the family around the table Sunday night for Easter dinner and drop a dozen Popeye's chicken sandwiches. You'll never have anything more delicious, and you'll never make people more happy than you would at that moment, Tommy. It's just that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
That's how you do Easter. Happy Easter, buddy, and happy Easter to all of our viewers and listeners.
We'll talk to you next week, everybody.